Ready to open the hood? UseTool for the tutorials.
And for car parts, the right idea is the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the Mylar shock absorbers used in the video through the link in the description. Turn your engine off, pull up the handbrake, pull on the bonnet release lever and open the bonnet. To access the suspension strut support bearings of your vehicle on the passenger side, you need to remove the airbox cover. Unplug the connector of the airflow meter. Then, lift both holding latches on the airbox cover. Using clamp pliers, squeeze both ends of the clamping clip to release it from its grip, then slide it towards the airflow meter. Separate the air inlet duct from the airbox. Remove the cover. Using a T27 Torx screwdriver, loosen the two screws holding the metal access hatch to the suspension strut support bearings. Lift the windscreen frame seal. Remove the rubber protection from the strut mount fronts. These elements can often get jammed, so use a penetrating oil to facilitate the operation. Using a 21mm offset wrench and a 7mm Allen key, unscrew the strut mount front nut by a few threads. You can also use the specific tool used in the video, which will make your task much easier. With a wheel on the ground, using a brake bar and an M30 triple square socket, unscrew the drivetrain nut by a few threads. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels. You must remove the wheels in order to change the front shock absorbers on your car. This will give you full access to the suspension system. Lift the front of the vehicle. Place the vehicle on the axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. Don't forget to slide them under the vehicle. Ask someone to press the brake to prevent the disc and drivetrain from rotating. Next, using a breaker bar and an M30 triple square socket, loosen the drivetrain nut by a few threads. Finish the unscrewing process with the help of the socket wrench. You now have to remove the upper ball from the sway bar link. To do this, take an 18mm spanner and a 5mm Allen key and unscrew the ball joint nut. Remove the ABS sensor cable. Remove the brake hose from its housing. Using a socket wrench and a 10mm Allen bit, loosen the two screws holding the ball joint of the suspension arm to the stop axle. Using a socket wrench and an 18mm socket, unscrew the two bolts holding the shock absorber bays. gently pull on the damper disc assembly to remove the drive shaft from the stub axle and move the suspension arm assembly apart. Brush the shock absorber base, then spray it with penetrating oil to make it easier to remove. You can spread the opening of the stub axle using the special socket used in the video, which will make your job much easier. Prepare a stable, elevated surface to place all the stub axle once you've removed it. Using a hammer, strike the axle stub to release the base of the shock absorber. Remove the drive shaft from the hub. Then place the stub axle assembly on the previously installed jack. Finish unscrewing the lock nut from the top of the shock absorber. Hold the shock absorber with one hand and finish unscrewing with the other. Remove the shock absorber. In order to change the shock absorber, you must now separate it from the spring. You can find in the description the tool we used in the video, which we think is most adapted to the operation. Careful! Pay attention as you compress the spring. This is not without risk and should be undertaken paying very careful attention. Install the shock absorber on the tool, then tighten the mobile flange against the spring, controlling its position carefully. Check that they're properly held by the locking studs, then slowly compress the spring using the socket wrench and the appropriate socket. Once the shock absorber is free in the spring, you can use a 21mm offset wrench and a 7mm Allen key to unscrew the suspension strut support bearing. You can also use the specific tool used in the video, which will make your task much easier. In the most extreme cases, you have to use an impact wrench. Then remove the suspension strut support bearing assembly. Remove the shock absorber from the spring.
All parts used in this tutorial are supplied by our trusted partners. These partners also help us create as many video tutorials as possible. Check them out in the description below.
You will find the Mylar shock absorbers used in the video through the link in the description. Before installing the new shock absorbers, it is necessary to prime them by pressing the shock absorber rod vertically so that the gas and the hydraulic fluid are separated. Unscrew the lock nut on the stem. Position everything in the spring. Then install the shock absorber stop. Take the rolling bearing and insert it in the sleeve inside. Then insert the assembly onto the rod. Install the forged plate. Then the rubber bearing. And finish by screwing the nut on the shock absorber mount. Tighten firmly using the 21mm offset wrench, holding the rod with a 7mm Allen key. Pay careful attention to place the bottom of the spring so that it supports the shock absorber flange. Unscrew the spring compression tool, paying attention to the position of the spring on the lower shock absorber support. You have now finished preparing the new part. Insert the shock absorber, starting from the top part. Put the upper support bearing back in place, then screw the nut holding the strut mount front back on, first by hand. Sand and grease the inside of the stub axle to help facilitate the reinsertion of the shock absorber. Thread the shock absorber base into the stub axle. The bottom positioning pin of the shock absorber base must be inserted into the opening of the stub axle. Make the installation easier by holding the stub axle assembly in position using the jack. You can use a hammer to help you put on the shock absorber. Remove the special socket. Screw the shock absorber base bolts back on. Finish off the tightening with a Torx wrench. Insert the drive shaft into the hub. Then position the ball joint of the suspension arm opposite to its slot. Apply Threadlocker to the new screws, holding the suspension arm ball joint. Then screw it back in. Finish off the tightening with a Torx wrench. Clip the brake hose back in. Clip the ABS sensor hose back in. Put the sway bar link back in place. Finish off the tightening with a Torx wrench. Roughly screw the drivetrain nut back on with a socket wrench. Ask someone to press the brake pedal. Finish off the tightening with a Torx wrench. Then add the recommended clamping angle using the paint marker technique to confirm the correct angle. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put the car back on the ground and block the wheels securely. Final tightening of the drivetrain nut is done with the vehicle on the ground. Finish screwing the nut on the shock absorber head. Finish off the tightening with the Torx wrench. Put the rubber protection back in place. Put the access hatch back in place. Then screw it back on. put the seal back on. Put the cover back in place by fitting the air intake duct. Using the clamp pliers, put the clamping clip back in place. Then close the two latches. Reconnect the airflow meter. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.